In the final chaotic days of World War II, as the Third Reich was literally falling apart, all sorts of legends were born. But there's one that's just so tantalizing, so enduring. It's the story of a train packed with unimaginable treasure that supposedly drove into a mountain tunnel in Poland and just vanished. Gone. I mean, can you imagine that? An armored Nazi train carrying 300 tons of gold just gone? That's the legend we're talking about. Stuffed with gold, jewels, priceless art, secret Nazi archives, and supposedly swallowed by the earth, just waiting for someone to find it. For like 70 years, this was just a ghost story, a local folk tale. But then, in 2015, everything changed. I mean, everything. A Polish government official gets up in front of the world's press and makes this absolutely stunning announcement. He says he's more than 99% certain that this train is real. And just like that, the ghost story wasn't a story anymore. It was now a very real government-level treasure hunt. Okay, so to really get a handle on the frenzy that happened in 2015, we have to go back, way back. We're going to dive into the source of this whole thing, the final, desperate months of World War II. You have to picture it. It was a time of absolute chaos, of retreat, and of secrets being buried. And yeah, sometimes they were literally burying them. So, picture this. It's early 1945. The Soviet Red Army is barreling west, closing in on the German city of Breslau, which is now Wrocław in Poland. The Nazi regime is in a full-blown panic, scrambling to move tons and tons of stolen wealth away from the fighting. In the story, the legend says that one very special armored train left the city, headed for the mountains, drove into a tunnel, and was just never seen again. And here's the thing, the legend had the perfect hiding spot. This wasn't just some random tunnel. Oh no, it was tied to a very real, very mysterious place called Project Riese. Riese is German for giant, and that's exactly what it was. A massive, top-secret Nazi construction project. They used forced labor from concentration camps to carve these 7 enormous tunnel complexes right into the mountains. And get this, to this day, nobody is 100% sure what they were for. A secret HQ for Hitler, underground weapons factories, we just don't know. And that mystery, well, it provides the perfect, plausible backdrop for a train to just disappear. So what was supposedly on this train? Oh, just the stuff of myths and legends. We're talking over 300 tons of gold, diamonds, jewels, priceless works of art looted from all over Europe. Secret Nazi archives that could change what we know about history. Some people even whisper that it might have parts of the legendary Amber Room on board. It was basically a rolling treasure chest filled with the Third Reich's stolen legacy. Okay, so we've got the history, right? This 70-year-old legend. How on earth did it suddenly explode into a global media event in 2015? Well, it all started with a classic, a real trope of any great treasure story, a deathbed confession. And the story they told the world was pure drama. Get this, some guy on his deathbed confesses that he was part of the team that hid the train back in '45. And before he dies, he hands over a hand-drawn map showing its secret location. This map finds its way to 2 treasure hunters, Piotr Koper and Andrzej Richter. And what do? They go straight to the Polish government and basically say, we know where it is, give us a 10% finder's fee, and we'll tell you everything. Once that story went public, bam, the fuse was lit. The world's media swarmed this little town, Walbrook, and it immediately became this huge battle between the really tantalizing evidence these 2 guys had and the cold, hard scrutiny of actual scientists. And listen, Koper and Richter, they were so confident. They were all over TV telling the world they had solved the mystery. They kept saying they had irrefutable proof. This wasn't just a hunch or a story, they said. They had data to back it up. And their smoking gun, it was this, a ground-penetrating radar image. Now, it's pretty blurry, I'll admit, but you can kind of see what looks like a long, man-made object buried deep underground. An object that's about the size and shape of, you guessed it, a train. This image right here is the reason Polish officials took the whole thing so seriously in the first place. But the skepticism started setting in almost immediately. The government called in some independent experts from a top university in Krakow to run their own tests. And their conclusion? It was a huge blow to the treasure hunters. Professor Janusz Madej came out and said, look, there may be a tunnel, but there is no train. Ouch. So you might be asking, why did so many people believe this story even when scientists were shooting it down? Well, it's because something almost exactly like it actually happened. For real. Back in 1944, a train called the Hungarian Gold Train left Budapest stuffed with properties stolen from Hungarian Jews. And in May 1945, the US Army actually intercepted it. So this real-life historical event provided this powerful template that made the whole Volzic story seem completely plausible. So after a whole year of back and forth scientific debates and this massive global media circus, talking just wasn't cutting it anymore. There was only one way to settle this for good. They had to dig. So in August 2016, with the world watching, the excavators finally started breaking ground. And the scene was just wild. Koper and Richter managed to get private funding, they got a team of 35 volunteers, and they started this massive dig. They brought in heavy machinery and started tearing into the railway embankment right at the spot their radar pointed to. And you better believe the world's cameras were rolling, everyone waiting for the find of the century. They dug 3 huge pits. They moved tons and tons of earth. For 7 straight days, the world was on the edge of its seat. And in the end, the final number of Nazi gold trains they found was 0. Yep, the result was totally conclusive. There was no train. There wasn't even a tunnel. The scientific experts had been right all along. Those exciting blips on the radar that started this whole global treasure hunt, they were just natural geological formations, just rocks. Now, you'd think that would be it, right? Case closed. A definitive scientific debunking. But it wasn't. The legend of the gold train is honestly more powerful today than ever before. So the real question is, why? Why does this myth just refuse to die? Well, there are a few pretty big reasons. First, that mystery of Project Reese, still totally unsolved. We also know for a fact that the Nazis used trains to move huge amounts of looted goods. And let's be honest, we all just love a good treasure story, don't we? Plus, and this is a big one, the legend has been fantastic for business, for tourism in the town of Wałbrzych. It's so big, in fact, that new teams are still getting permits to go look for it. And that's really the final perfect irony of this whole thing. No gold was ever found in the ground, but the story itself has become a kind of treasure, a diamond for the local town. It's brought in so many tourists. They've even built a full-size replica of the armored train for people to come and see. In a way, the treasure hunt was the treasure all along. Look, the 2016 dig really only proved one thing. The train wasn't in that specific spot, but it didn't solve the bigger mystery. There are still miles and miles of those Project Reese tunnels that are totally unexplored, collapsed and sealed off since 1945. So yeah, the gold train might just be a myth, but it leaves you wondering, doesn't it? What other secrets are still waiting down there in the dark, deep inside those mountains?